Since the beginning of time, it has been a divine tradition. Whenever humanity drifted away from the path of righteousness, Allah would send His messenger with guidance and Sharia. Whenever a nation slipped into moral decay or followed the footsteps of Iblis, a prophet would be sent to revive the truth. But when it came to the final message, the seal of all revelations, the situation was unlike before. This time, it wasn't just one nation that had fallen into darkness. The entire world was drowning in ignorance, injustice, and moral corruption. And so, Allah chose His messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, not for a single nation, but for all of humanity. But why Arabia? Why was this specific land chosen to carry the final and universal message of Islam? In this video, we will explore the divine wisdom behind the selection of Arabia. It's important to look at the situation of the world at that time to understand why land of Arabia was chosen for final message. Before the arrival of Islam, humanity was fallen into deep spiritual crisis. The world wasn't just politically divided, it was morally bankrupt. Even the so-called civilized empires like Rome and Persia, despite their military strength, they were full of injustice, oppression, and moral corruption. There was no real concept of equality. In other known civilizations of that time, idol worship was deeply rooted in society. Even strange or unusual objects were worshipped as God. The caste system ruled everything. The women had no value, treated worse than slaves. They had no rights, no dignity, and no freedom. Now, after observing the widespread darkness, if there was any hope of reform, it would have been expected from the Jews, because they were the people of divine scriptures and the descendants of prophets. But they believed they had special connection with God, considered paradise as their birthright, rejecting anyone who wasn't from their bloodline. Now let's have a look at the state of Arabia itself before Islam. Arab society was buried under the weight of ignorance and chaos. There was no sign of law, morality was lost idea, their hearts were hard, and their lives were dictated by superstition, idol worship, and senseless traditions as discussed before. Perhaps the darkest practice was infanticide. A girl child was considered a burden, a source of shame. In their eyes, only sons carried value. Nudity was fashion. Women were treated like commodities, not humans. Prostitution existed in broad daylight, and some houses had red flags to indicate their purpose. Arab tribes would fight for generations over petty issues. The weak were oppressed, and the powerful ruled with no accountability. Economically, the Arabs relied primarily on trade and a bit of farming, especially of dates and livestock. Caravans would travel across vast deserts for business, connecting Arabia with regions like Yemen, Syria, and even India. But trade was not easy and safe. Every journey was full of risks. Tribes often loot caravans, and there was always tension in the air. Security was a major concern, and only the powerful tribes would ensure protection through alliance or fear. In summary, morality, politics, and economics, everything was in ruins. Despite being living in darkness and ignorance, they possessed certain unique qualities that made them suitable to receive the final message of Allah. Unlike the mighty civilizations of Rome and Persia, Arabia was at crossroad of the world, geographically centered, making it easy for the message to spread across continents. And their language, Arabic, was rich, deep, and powerful. No other language would convey the divine message with such beauty and clarity. They were not slaves. They were never colonized. Their hearts were free, their minds unbroken. While Persians and Romans had become mentally enslaved by monarchy and materialism, Arabs had retained courage, independence, and pride. The Arabs were known for their hospitality. They honored their guests even when they had little to offer. They valued unity within their tribes and stood by each other in loyalty. And above all, they kept their word. A promise made was a promise kept, even if it cost their lives. Their determination and sincerity was unmatched. Living in the harsh desert had built them both physically and mentally. Their bodies were toughened by climate and their minds by survival. They were never afraid of battle. It was a plaything for them. With courage running in their blood, they faced danger with smile. And above all, it was a result of powerful dua. The Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, while raising the foundation of Kaaba with his son Ismail alayhi salam, made a heartfelt prayer. O our Lord, send among them a messenger from themselves who will recite to them your verses, teach them the book and wisdom, and purify them. These were the very qualities needed to carry the final message of Allah, and it was through these people, hardened by the desert but softened by truth, that Islam spread to the world.